And okay, so everything is recording now.
Wonderful.
Okay, any more, Elizabeth?
No, that's everything.
Okay.
Just also so the guests know that they're not being recorded along with the event, just so they don't feel self-conscious. They don't have to worry about what they're doing in their video screen. It's just Kay's screen that will get recorded.
Okay, so
Thank
some of
you.
you
Enjoy.
here, this is your first time. I think some people said that they couldn't get in last week. So I'm going to kind of repeat this again for people who were not here. But this is kind of an updated one because I've been doing a lot of work this week. So I'm going to share, there are some updated things in here. So welcome to the watercolor Let's Paint Blooming Flowers class. And I'm so excited to be able to do this for you one more time, because I think that this will, solidify what we learned last week more. And so I've been, thanks to this class, you've really kept me on my toes. And I just been doing a lot of experimenting with lots of different things this week. I think I've been kind of painting nonstop the whole week to prepare for today. So anyway, today, some of the things that we will be making today will be a little different than what I taught last week, just to give you a little variety. And I think even for the first comers, I think this will be great. So let's get started. Okay, here we go. Why isn't this screen moving? Okay, so why watercolor? I think I explained this last week, why I love watercoloring, because it is so relaxing and you don't really have to be a real expert at it, because it's so many things in watercoloring. It's just splashing and being abstract, and there are a lot of people who do the watercolor as to even like flowers. They draw flowers exactly the way they look. And I think that's a great way to get started, but I really prefer something that's not quite as, not so definitive as how things really are, because I think I like the creativity and imagination. And so I like to do different things with flowers to make them look like not their real self sometimes. So there are two different ways to the products used for the watercoloring, and one is a basic watercolor set, and it is transparent and fluid, and I recommended the Koi color. Where do I put it? The Koi color, and that's what I'm gonna use today. I really love this watercolor set. It's a Japanese-made watercolor, and the colors are very, really nice. And the next one is gouache watercolor. And gouache set is very similar to the basic watercolor, but you'll see when I show you some pictures what the difference between the two colors are. And the gouache is so much more opaque. And so it's, a lot of people use it for if they want their painting to look brighter and more solid, versus watercolor, which is very light and soft and flowing. So here are some examples of the typical using a watercolor. If you notice how right here, it just, the tips of the flowers are kind of faded out, and you could blend some darker colors in to give it definition. The butterfly that you see, I did everything with watercolor except for that navy blue part. Can you believe I used crayons to give it more vibrancy? So you could mix watercolors with anything. I mix it with colored pencils, crayons, markers. It just depends on, like this, the brown flower in the center, I use the white pen. And so not everything, everything, if you do everything with watercolor, that's fine. But to me, it's not real exciting. So as you get better at it, once you learn the basics, you can learn to add different things to it. So here's another one. If you notice, like all the leaves are not green, I made some of them light blue, and you could start using your own imagination. And this is basically a real basic watercolor technique where you just drop the puddles of water and then you just go ahead and add deeper color to give the flowers more accent. So on this one, I use just all watercolors. A typical watercolor is one on the right, which is, it's very kind of a, the colors are very light and soft. And you use a fine tip brush to do that kind of a painting. And one on the left is, again, it's just a little circling of little field flowers around a dog. I made that for somebody I knew who lost their beloved golden retriever dog, and I didn't know how to draw a golden retriever just like that, so I kind of made it an image of a dog, and she loved it. Okay, so this is some new work I did this week using only watercolors, and I did some examples of flowers on separate page, and I noticed how much I love doing it because you can do the same thing yourself. You can, make these little cards and just do one kind of flower, and then you could put a little hole at the corner and put a ringer around it, and you could make your own little catalog of watercolors. I think this is a great idea, and I thought, oh my God, this will really help me a lot. Here's some more I did. I tried to draw the cherry blossoms on that little piece there. But some of these are, I think these are all done with watercolors, and some have white pen in them. Now, this is something that I did that I just really loved this week. I was just experimenting with some flowery fields, and then I have some leftover doodling that I was doing, and they're not even very pretty flowers, but I just cut them out and I put them on top of it. And then I made this one little origami flower from Japanese washi paper, and I put that on there, and it's 3-dimensional. So I'm gonna put that into a shadow box. I'm looking for a shadow box right now. I'm gonna put that in there, and that will make a wonderful wall display. Oh, this went upside down, but this is something that you can't really see the whole thing. Too bad, I'm sorry. I needed some new signage for the salon because we're gonna open the salon this week. And I wanted we have this underneath each one of the mirrors, I have a long plexiglass holder that I usually put signs in. And normally I would ask a graphic designer to design something. And this time I thought, you know what, I'm gonna try it with my watercoloring. And and this is, it shows the wrong way. I don't know what happened here, but anyway, these are 3 strips. And then I'm going to I took it to Kinko, and then
Okay, locked up. Okay, can you hear us on your other computer or on your other screen? Let me text her. She might not be aware that she locked up. I guess I spoke too soon saying we weren't having technical problems. Please stand by. I just texted her to log out and then back in again. I have had this happen on meetings before, and it should work to just have her be out and then back in. Sorry about that. Let's see, and I'll keep an eye out in case it asks for her to be entered. Doesn't look like it. She should be able to get right in. She's a host. Thank you for your patience. I apologize. We'll see. It looks like she's trying to log back in from what I can tell. but I don't see her on the video screen yet. Oops, let me try texting her again. Well, actually, I'll leave her alone because she's probably frantically trying to log back in, and texting probably doesn't help at this point. So we'll just give her a moment. Would anyone like me to resend or put in the chat the supply list, or do you all have that already? Does everybody have that already? You have it? Okay, you're good. All right. If you would like me to mail it or put it in the chat, just type me a message in the chat and I'm happy to post it for you.
Can I ask, is everybody here from last week?
Oh,
there any
hello there from the UK. How are you?
Hi. Good, thank you. How are you?
Very well. Atia, is that how I say your name?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, perfect.
Welcome.
Thank
You were my
you.
tech support last week. I love you.
Oh, it wasn't me. I think it was Alice that was on this week. I just wondered, has anybody got their pictures that they did last week that we could show? And
That's
if
a
they
great
did anything
idea.
with it?
I wasn't able to get in last week.
Ah, okay.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay. Well, you'll have good examples to show at the end of the day. Atia, do you have some to share?
Well, these are my dots that I did last week.
Ooh.
Did anybody do some dots? Did you do them? Anybody else? To share?
Were Marty and I the only ones that had password problems last week?
Ah,
Yeah,
Oh,
Kate said she
wow.
heard from a few folks that they had problems getting in, and I'm so sorry if we somehow didn't see you or let you in, or I'm really not sure. We had a lot of problems last week, so we're off to a much better start today. I just don't know what happened with Kay's computer along the way.
Mm.
She will be back, I'm sure.
I love doing this card. You know, when she did the line thing,
Fun.
that was good. I know she used a pencil first, but I didn't have a pencil handy. So what did I have? I had this permanent Sharpie and it was navy blue. And I thought, oh, it doesn't matter, I'll do that. But then I ended up using a black with watercolor. It became grey. I just put it on the top and I thought it looked quite nice. I don't know if you can see.
Oh, it does. Very nice.
I just thought it looked different. But I loved the lesson last week. I know we had technical problems, but it was good. I enjoyed it.
That's great. I see you put little accent dots in the berries as well. That looks lovely.
Yeah, she said that. And the lines one, I like to do lots of patterns. So these are I used the marker pen and just did lots of, when we did the stripes.
Oh, that layering is wonderful.
Yeah, so I just used the white marker or the black marker.
Very fun. That white marker is really fun. That Uniball Signo is the name of the one Kay recommends.
Yeah.
It looks really pretty on those dark colors. And then the Sharpies work wonders on the other stuff. You just have to be sure you get a not water soluble one.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That turned out great. Anybody else want to share their work? I saw Dale. Dale, can you hold up your circles again? Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I love the
Bit
colors
more
you use.
closer. Can you put it a bit closer? Oh, yeah, I'm looking at the pattern underneath. Yeah, fantastic.
Looks really good.
Yeah.
I
I'm
love
looking
how
forward.
watercolors brush strokes look so delicate, and the imperfections really end up looking like they were on purpose, because they add that bit of irregularity that you do find in nature. I love that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Let me try to call Kay. Oh, it says Kay is the host now. She's back. And I
Ooh.
see her. She's back. Unmute yourself, Kay.
Hi, Kay.
What's wrong with this computer? It's just, I've been on 3 Zoom meetings and they've all worked, and every time I do this, it doesn't work.
Did you have to go to your other computer again?
Yes, I'm on my other computer now again. Because
All right, Superwoman is back, you guys. That's how quick she was to switch to a whole new computer, and look at her. She's not even sweating, and she's ready to do more art. You go, Kay.
Okay, now I have to get into my, just a minute. Share screen. Elizabeth, I think I could get mine from Canva.
You could, or you could even email it to yourself and open it that way, just like you did to me last week. That worked well, although I think it was really nice having you narrate it yourself. I noticed it went really great because you were in control of the slides.
Yes, but now how do I get into Canva from here?
Just canva.com and your login and password.
Okay, but where is the, God, I had that Canva saved on my side menu, but now it's gone. So,
Do you think that you were pretty close to
that
getting, let's see, you had just shown us.
launching, let's paint. Okay, hang on just a minute.
All right.
Okay, let me see now. I think I got it up. Now I'm gonna share. Allow Zoom to share your screen. Open system preference. Am I sharing now?
Not yet, but keep pushing buttons. You're getting close, I bet. I don't see a shared screen yet.
Gee, this is really weird. Well, okay, I think that maybe I better just stop this because now I'm on here and I'm gonna say share screen. And my presentation is right there, but I can't seem to get to it. Where is Canva?
It's okay, Kay. We're all
Oh my gosh.
no problem.
You have the nicest group of people who follow you, Kay, and friends and supporters.
I know, you guys are so patient. Thank you. Okay, I'm not gonna I can't get to it, my screen. So anyway, I think that I've shown you some of the new things, and then today we're just going to be doing something.
Kay, just a quick question. Someone asked for clarification on how long is the class supposed to go today?
I had it scheduled until 12 o'clock, but I was gonna see if anybody could stay later, because I received some feedback saying that it was kind of late. I mean, it was kind of fast. And so I
Okay, so
was
you'll
gonna-
try to pack things in until 12
I'll try
o'clock
to
in
pack
case
things
people are on
in,
a schedule?
but, okay. So,
Great.
how many of you want to go through the exercises again? Can you raise your hand or let Elizabeth know? Because I really want to, I don't want to go through this part again if you don't need to. Yes or no?
So is it a yes or no, folks? I saw one yes with a hand up. I only see one hand up.
I think there's two people that weren't here from last week. Stacy and Martin weren't here last week.
Okay,
And I'm happy to go through it again because I'm quite happy to carry on with the same thing.
so you're okay to go through it again?
Yeah, I don't know about the others though.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
maybe
let me go through it
next.
quickly. The first exercise was, well, first of all, I hope that you guys all painted, can you see on here? Oh, where is my screen for the desktop, Elizabeth?
That's showing beautifully, Kay. I can see.
Oh, I'm just
it's
not able
there.
to see it.
Just
Okay.
you might have to arrow through the
So
videos.
you can see the screen, I mean, my desktop large?
Yes, and if they need to, they can pin that video.
Yeah, can everybody pin that, my desktop? So you could, it comes up as a large screen. So if you see my desktop, where my paint set is right here, go there and there's 3 buttons there and it say pin video and it goes to a large screen for you. And
Here,
you
I
know,
can switch to Spotlight Video. Thank you,
Okay,
Stacy.
thank you. Okay, so I really recommend that all of you make a color chart of your paint set. And that is so important because these paint colors, they do not appear as what they really are unless you do a little thing for yourself. What do you call these? It's just an example, palette. And so that way, when you're painting, you could just pick the color out and put it on there. So let's go ahead with start your exercises. And I recommend that you pick the colors that you like, and then you put lots of water on your brush, and then you drop the puddle into a little circle, and then you go and pick the color you want from your paint set, and then drop that color right in there. And you mush it around and you'll get this. So I just draw another circle with my brush, wet brush, and then get my next color that I want to put in there. And this kind of gives you a really good idea of how that color flows in the water. I just love doing this because you could just squish that water around. And then let's go to a third color. And so once you do this, before the paint brushes very much, go ahead and put another color, like on top of the red. I'm just gonna maybe put a yellowy orange. And I'm going to drop that right here. Oh, I think another thing that's, try to spray your watercolor set so that it gets really wet before you use it. I forgot to tell you about that.
And don't ever put your coffee right where Kay has her water cup.
I know, I spilled this whole bottle yesterday right onto my rug. Oh my gosh. And the water was really murky. So one of the things that I like to tell you is that I do keep 2 bottles of water next to me, and there's 2 ways to do it. if you could keep one as a warm color water and one as a cool water. And every time you use a cool color, use that little cup that's designed for cool color. And I have a napkin right here. You could have a napkin or paper towel. And you should clean your brush off before you go on to another color, because it's very, remember last week, somebody was saying that all the colors were just getting into each other. So these are some of the things that you should be aware of.
And maybe everyone already knows this, but the warm colors are red and yellow, and the cool colors are blue and green. And then purple sort of lives in the middle. Purple's a little bit confusing because you can have your blue purples and you can have your red purples.
Right. And then, you know, it's a really good idea to, you know, because I'm not covering it here, but it's a really good idea to study your color chart so you'll know which colors go together. And it's basically, if you use a color chart, you could mix any color you want using about 12 colors. So if you know that you have a purple and you want to make it lighter purple, you would add white to it. Or if you want to create more of a pinky purple, then you could add one of your pink colors to it. So you'll get to see how, and if you don't really, you just can't go around mixing any color with anything, because it doesn't create a real muddy look if you do. So you could begin to kind of see what colors that you're drawn to, you know, you're attracted to. Okay, then next thing we do is we're going to just draw circles without a lot of water. You could just dip your brush and you could make a thick paint and you could draw your, okay, I'm gonna go into maybe squares now. Or mine kind of looks like half square and half circle, but. And then you could see how that dries. And then when you draw a square, make sure that you use your tip of the paintbrush and don't lay it down flat. Anytime you want to make triangle, square, just any kind of a shape. Circle is the only one that you could just kind of roll your brush around to the side and get it. But with other things that you're trying to create a definite shape, it's better for you to use your brush straight up and down and draw the outline of the shape first and then fill it in. How's everybody doing? And maybe I'll make a black one. So it's really fun to use the tip of the brush and just make definite shapes, because you could draw anything if you use like a fine tip watercolor brush. I'm not using anything that fine right here, but okay, so you finish this. And then the next thing I like for you to do is I want you to draw these lines. This is what I did. So we'll practice some line drawing, and you could get your brush that's not real fat. I'm using like a number, I think this one is about number 2 or 3 or something like that. But anyway, so now what you want to do is get those colors out again, and then dip your brush in there, and I want you to draw 5 lines without dipping it again. So you could see how the first line, second line, third line, you see how long it retains this? Now, this one, these are very strong colors, I notice. I'm just gonna dip in and brush a little. I think I'm going down even further because now I want you to see how the color fades out. It starts from thick and then it fades out. So I'm gonna start from the top here again, thick, dark, dark, getting lighter, 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 and lighter. And so if you, I guess I didn't wash all the orange off my brush very well. So now it's taking on some the orange hue, but it's okay because I really like it. So let's try like a blue. You start out dark and you keep going down, 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 down. And then you notice you end up with a very, very light blue at the bottom. I'm not sure if you are using a regular water brush or if you're using I'm just using this little brush with a water in it. And I'm just trying this out because I usually always use a regular brush, but I'm trying this out now to see if I really like using this, and I'm really liking it actually. Now I'm gonna use the yellow. I'm gonna go start the top. It's dark. And as you go down, it gets lighter, and then it gets real light. So let me see what else here. Another thing I want to show you is that I have this little paint. It's like a mixing palette, and I really like this because I like to use my watercolors pretty watery, and so I do use the cover of my my cover is already filled with color already, but this is something that I use if I just want to get some fresh colors, and then I'll show you how I do that. I'm gonna take a color green. Okay, that green is really strong, so I don't wanna use it right on the paper. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put it here. And then I'm gonna add a little bit more water. And you could really get a real nice little mixing going on right here in a mixing tray like this. And then I will just go ahead and start doing it as I get the color right. Another thing is I have these, where did it go now? I have these index cards. I buy a packet of index cards from, you could buy it at Daiso or you could buy it on Amazon or anywhere you want, but these index cards are really reasonable. I think Janet, you were asking me about, the paper, or somebody was saying that the papers are really expensive if you keep using watercolor paper all the time. So these index cards are great if you just want to practice before you put on your real watercolor. And then one of the things I do is I will mix the color in here or get it from my paint set. And then before I use it on a flower or leaf or anything, I check it on here and I just kind of check the colors to make sure that this is a color that I want on the paper. And doing these kind of things ahead of time will really help you to get a real nice color that you're looking for. So then I'm thinking, okay, well, this color here is not enough olive for me. I really want a little bit more dip. So I'll just look at my color chart, and in the koi set, it has a little olive, I think. So now I'm gonna take this little olive. Can you see right here? I'm gonna take this little olive and I'm just gonna mix it in here. And then I paint it here and I go, oh, gee, let me see. I think that I might want this to be a little bit more olive. So now I'm gonna look at my color chart and I'm gonna get a brown or tan. And then I'm going to mix it in here. Then I'm gonna test it again and I go, oh yeah, I like it. It's looking more olive. So yeah, the brown makes the green more olive. Yellow makes the green more light green. So now I got the color I like exactly here, right here. And so I know exactly what color I'm using. So these are some of the things that I recommend that you do before you actually put your paint on your paper. Okay, so going back to your little exercise sheet. The next thing I recommend is, so, you know, here you see me always exercising with these things just to test out the colors and things. Now, underneath this, what you've done, let's do some, I'm gonna show you how to do leaves. So now mix your own green, the color green you like. And then you should, you know, you have a cover to your watercolor palette. So go ahead and use that to mix your colors in. And then leaves could be drawn in two different ways. You could put your pen up, your brush up and down, and you could go ahead and draw the shape of a leaf, and then you fill it in. Shape of a leaf, and then make a little point at the tip and fill it in. And then you could make these leaves fat or thin, or, you know, whatever you like. You could do real thin leaves too. And then you could even put a little stem on it if you want to. Okay, the next way to draw a leaf, which is very kind of a free flowing, it's really fun to do, but you put your point right here at the tip, you make it narrow, and then you press your brush down, and then you lift it up. Start narrow with the point straight up and down almost. Go down a little bit. Lay your brush down flat on the paper, as wide as you could get, and then lift it up. Is everybody getting that? And I love drawing leaves like this because you notice how the water puddle just puddles up on the leaf, and it just gives it a real soft look to it. Now I decided that I have this color here, and I'm thinking, okay, well, you know, I really think that I want to create a lighter green. So I'm going to take this right here, and I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to it. Now you see how much the color changes. And then I will continue to draw my leaves. Now I'm getting a lot lighter colored leaf. If you want to create a leaf that's fatter than the one that you drew, you go ahead and draw it the same way. And then you could put another same kind of thing right next to it, and you make it bigger. So 1, 2, and then you made a real fat leaf. So you put one down in one leaf, put another fat leaf next to it. And it's okay if you create a little space in between. I'm gonna put it close so you can see. Can you see some of the leaves? Now I'm making the fat ones here. And the color is a little different. So the next one I'm gonna do is I'm going to draw a little fine vine. And then you could create tiny little leaves on this vine. And then sometimes when you do this, it's really cute if you add just a little bit of little red dots or something for little berries, and you just kind of dab little berries in between, and you get a vine, little leaves, and little red dots. It could be flowers or berries or anything. Okay, so let's practice now drawing flowers with a little little scallops around it. So let me see, the color I'm gonna pick is, I think that I want pink flowers. I'm gonna work with pink. So I'm going to get a bunch of, the color that I'm using is more like a crimson red. I'm gonna put it right here. Now, I know we have a white in our palette, but you know, once you get a little bit, you get used to doing this, I really recommend that you purchase yourself 1 tube of gouache paint. And if you purchase this 1 tube and you just put a little dab in your dish, have you noticed I just put the little dab? Now, anytime you want to lighten the color, you go in here and just get a little bit of this white, and then you will mix it, and now you have pink. Do you see that? And the more white you add, the lighter the color gets. And you know I love the pink color, but in a watercolor set, it's very hard to find pink. The only way you could get pink is you dilute it with a bunch of water, and it gets really transparent. And I really don't like it when the flower gets too loaded with water and not enough pigment. And so I like for it to have a little bit more of a feel of solid pink. So the way that you would draw this is your brush would be straight up and down, and you draw a circle in the center. Now I just go and paint like a little leaf kind of a thing right here on the outer edge. You dab, 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 and just let it go. Just press it down and let it go. And then you could go ahead and reshape these petals. And if you want more of a fatter petal, you go around and just go around the edge and make them fatter. but at least this way it gives you the basic outline of how a flower should look with petals. And I'm sorry, I shouldn't have filled in the very center part of this with color because normally I leave it blank. I don't know why I filled it up today. So in the center, maybe I want to put bright red by itself. And so you just fill it in. And then whenever I use a real bright color, I just kind of wipe it on my napkin. Now we're gonna make tulip shaped flowers using the leaf technique again. So you would start out with one tip and you go fat down the side and I curve it in a little bit. Now I'm gonna go right next to it and I'm gonna go and do the same thing again. Now you have the two petal tulip, and I wanna make the tulip fatter. You do it third time and you press it down. Can you see the shapes? So that is a 3-pointed tulip, or you could make it just 2-pointed tulip. The 2-pointed tulip is like that, and it's just really simple. And with watercoloring, it's always real attractive to leave a little bit of space in between because then you don't have this big blob of color. And the next one is, you want to make something like a rose shape, kind of like a little rose. And you do that by kind of painting an irregular circle. And then you have to wait until it dries a little bit before you could add the definition of the rose petals in there. And so just let it dry. And we'll come back to it at a little bit later point. Let me see what else. Okay, another one that you could do is you could do a very loose shaped flower, just petals, because all flower, you know, they're just not perfect. So you don't want to make everything really perfect. So you could go ahead and just very lightly put your, and I'm doing this with a color that's pretty diluted because these are very good filler flowers to put in. And you could just kind of, once you get used to it, you could do this pretty fast. Make 3 loops and then come down. Or you could put many of these as you want. And I didn't fill these in because I just kind of did the outline of these flowers. Now I'm gonna go back to the one with the rose. And I'm going to get a color that's red. And I don't want the brush really wet. And I'm going to go ahead and put a center in here like that. And I'm going to outline. And when you get too much water on it, just squeeze your brush and get all the water off and just go over it one more time. And you'll pick up all the extra water. Okay, so here's like a little rose. And then our next exercise is you're going to draw to learn how to draw lines. And here it is right here. You don't have to do a whole page of it if you don't want to, but if you notice on this one, I just fat lines, short lines, little lines. And then on this one, I drew those lines, but then I went and put some little designs in between. And that could look really cute too. And these are really wonderful for making little tags and things like that once you do it. So I'm gonna take the bigger brush and the little brush, and with the big brush, I'm gonna draw a big line. And I might repeat this pink quite a few times. It doesn't really matter. And then I'm going to do another fat line, I think. And I'll use that green color that's left over here. I'm gonna use that. So I try to use up all the colors that I have. And if you notice that it's very dark on one end, and then as you go, it gets lighter and lighter and lighter. And if you don't want that lighter look, you gotta go from the other end and blend it in. So I'm gonna start from the other end right now and go to from the right to the left. And now it gets some of the lines that are getting darker on this end, so it kind of evens it out. And it doesn't have to be straight. So you're brushing the fat lines with the side of your brush. Now I'm going to take the smaller brush and I'm going to draw some smaller, finer lines. So you pick the color that you like. So I'm going to pick several different shades of yellow and pale orange. And I'm gonna create a kind of a muddy, that puddly, watery thing you might mix in tray. And then now I'm gonna go in between with a thin yellow line. And maybe I'll add red. And then I might just add just a little roll of light red in here. And I really like the wobbly lines because it just looks so much more handmade. So here you go. This is the exercise. Isn't that pretty? Okay, so I think we covered all the different things that we're going to be doing in our exercise. And so I'm going to put this away now, and I'm going to go to the first thing we're going to do is, the second thing we're going to do is we're going to make cards. So I've decided that it is so pretty to make real simple cards. And some of these you've seen in a picture in the slide, but making very, very simple cards. But they are beautiful, right? And then here's one of the tulip. And then here is this. Daisy. because, you know, I've been making cards that had a lot more in it, but then when I started to practice, experiment with this, Morning Glory, I realized how much I love the simplicity when you do watercoloring and not junk it up too much. And then this is the one we did last week. For some of you that weren't here, we made this. So let's start out just by doing a couple simple flowers, and I think that you're gonna really, really like it. So I think the one that I'm gonna pick would be, we'll do this today. How's that? To make cards, the 5x7 paper that I have, I don't really fold it, but I put the design on right half of it. And then once I finish the design, then I fold it into half. So if you, some of you may have problems trying to figure out where you center it, but it always really pretty much works out. And if you don't trust yourself, then just go ahead and draw kind of a real light line in the center so you know where to stay, where to, yeah, stay within that side. So for this daisy, I'm going to draw the center of the daisy, I'm going to keep it blank. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of draw a simple little flat kind of a circle in the center so I don't step into that. I don't think you can see it. But anyway, I do this little simple circle with the pencil drawing. Now I'm going to pick one of the brushes that's probably, do I have anything that's thicker? I'm going to try it with this. So let's see. I think I will pick a yellow. And now you're going to do the same thing. You're going to starting from that circle. You're going to press it down a little bit. Just go very light on the tip. Go down, fat, 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 fat. Lay your brush down. And then pick it up. And go to the next place. Fine point. Fat, 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 fat. Get really fat. And then pick it up. I'm going to the side and I'm going to do one more. And I'm going to go to this side and do it again. You just keep doing this over and over and over until you get these flowers, petals. And if you notice, I'm beginning to kind of droop these petals down because this is a flower that's kind of a side view flower. So, yeah, I'm gonna go one more right here, but I don't want to do the whole thing. Now you have a flower shape that looks like it's kind of pedaling, kind of a drooping down. And then right above that half circle, I'm going to go and paint little peaks like there's flowers kind of cascading down to the other side. Now I'm going to take the let me see here. My green, I'm going to get my green to look a little bit better. I always like my leaves to look a little olivey because they just kind of look more natural to me. So I just took the existing green that I had and I put a little bit of olive green from my paint set. And I mix it in there because olive by itself may be a little bit too dull. So I'm going to go right, I try not to touch the leaf, and I go right in between the first, where there's a space, and I just come down. And then again, I'm going to use the same technique, and I'm going to do the leaves coming down, point, fat, and lay the brush down, go slow, lift the brush up. And if you notice with mine, it looks like the brush was a little dry, but it's okay because I really like that real organic feel to the leaves, so they're not so perfect. And then I'm going to go to the other side, and I'm going to draw another leaf, starting with a fine point, pressing my brush down, up, 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 up. And I want to make this other leaf a little bit thicker and fatter. So I'm going to kind of outline the shape of it to be fatter. How's everybody doing? Okay, so right here in the center, we lift that out. So I'm gonna take a little bit of brown, and then I'm just gonna apply it directly on here. And I'm just gonna dab this in. So you don't wanna just paint it in just perfect. Just keep dab, 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 dab until you get it to look like the center of a flower. And it's okay if you have some spaces left. It should be left open. Okay, so to make this card a little bit more interesting, I'm gonna add another one above. And again, I'm gonna start out with just a little tiny center. That putting the center in with the pencil is really good because it really helps you to stay focused. Now I'm going to go ahead and create a little baby flower in the same way, except I'm gonna make it smaller. And this one here is, I'm gonna make it whole. And again, I try not to make it just perfect because to me, they all have flaws, right? It doesn't look really good when everything's just so perfect. And then I think I'm just gonna add a little bit of maybe a little bit of pink or something to brighten that flower up. So I'm gonna go ahead with I just mix just a little dab of the color that has a little bit more pink color that I have from leftover. And not to do it to all of them, but just make some of the leaves a little bit varying color. And that always adds interest when you're making flowers, not to make them all the same. Mix some colors, mix some unusual colors, and now I'm going to take that brown and I'm going to dab, dab, dab in the center. And if the color just kind of runs into the flower a little bit because this flower is still wet, it's okay. It just looks really great to have, not to have everything so perfect. And if you want to, you could just leave it like this with 2 flowers. Or if you want to add just a little tiny bit of a stem on this one, you can't do that. But I would just make it real subtle, and I would make the leaves like it kind of like it's kind of floating in the air. Okay, there you go. Can you see? So once this is done, you're gonna fold this in half and you'll have a really nice card that you could give to somebody. And I think that you'll be very proud of it because it's just beautiful. It's just so simple. I always think of when I do this, I always think of how much brush strokes and the pressure and the up and down of the brush and the sideways of the brush. Those are all the things that they teach in Japanese calligraphy. I used to study that when I was young. And it's all about the movement of your hand and your wrist and how you pressure the pen or how you lift the pen. And once you learn that technique and you learn the feel of it, that's when your watercolor starts to begin to look very natural. Okay, let's draw one more card. Is everybody wanting a little bit more time? Let me see here. Okay, so the next one, I think that would be really fun to do would be a little tulip. Tulip, just simple little tulips standing there. And I'm gonna make these tulips red. And again, I'm making my paint is pretty wet. Okay, so we're gonna do a tulip. I'm gonna start out with one that's again shaped like a leaf. And I'm gonna make 2 leaves. And I'm gonna connect. The next one, I think I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger, so I'm gonna do 3. So I'm gonna do 1, 2, and lift up very gently at the bottom, and I'm gonna do 3. The next one I'm gonna do, I'm going to open up even more. So I'm gonna go ahead and do 1, 2, 3, kind of far apart, 4. So now you had the 4 tulips that's just kind of really blossoming out. And maybe here I will do, one that's kind of, just kind of maybe like this one here might be just kind of like, it's really not doing well. It's just kind of falling down. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and draw a stem. Right from the center one, I'm going to bring it straight down. The next one, draw a stem coming straight down, very fine line. Third one is coming straight down and bypass that little flower I have on the side. The fourth one, I'm going to cut, it's kind of bending over. So I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of draw it kind of like bending. Now, tulip leaves are very narrow and very, very long. So I'm going to go right up here and then I'm going to press it down again. Not a whole lot because I don't want to create anything really fat. And then I'm going to draw it down to here. Next one will be a little bit shorter maybe. See, by the time you do this, you'll get really good at drawing these little fat leaves because you don't really, it's only your hand pressure that makes the difference. The one that's kind of bending down, I'm gonna make it, the flower leaf is just kind of bending down, kind of twisted, but it's still trying to stand up. And that one, I'm gonna make the leaves real skinny. Then there's the big one right here. And then to finish this off on this end, I'm gonna make it real tall and fill up the space right here. How is your tulips looking? And that's all you really do. And if anything, in addition to this, it just makes it look more rich. So for instance, these leaves to me look too much one color. So I'm gonna go ahead and see if I could add just a little bit deeper color. I'm just gonna go right down the center, and on some of them, I'm just gonna put a center on it. On others, I'm just gonna dab a little bit of a little outline to it with a darker shade. And then I'm thinking, well, gosh, I don't wanna make it look too dark. So I might just want to add a little bit of white. I don't know what the white will do, but it might be nice. I don't know. Anytime you add white to anything, it really kind of lightens up things. So you could do that. Or you could even add color like a little bit of blue. No, I don't think I like the white, so I'm just going to put the blue on top of the white. And see, you could do things and you may not like it, but it's always good because you could, if you don't like it, just cover it up again. I'm going to cover that up because I didn't really like the white. I thought I would, but I don't. It doesn't have enough life to it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cover that up. And I'm going to add a little bit of blue. Just a little dab. And then I want to show you a little trick that you could do with your colored pencil or a fine point. Like I have a Tombow marker right here. I'm going to see if I could add a little something, because one side has a pen, and like some of this flower to me looks too plain. So I might add just a little bit of lines to some parts of this flower, not the whole thing.
Is the Tombow permanent ink or?
Tombow is a water-based marker. It is really great. It has a fat brush on one side, and then it has a point on the other side. And what I'm doing is I'm using the point, especially for some of them that looks too plain. And if you keep messing around with more watercolor, it just looks too, you could really ruin it with too much watercolor dabbed on top of each other. So I'll show you what that looks like. And I'm not gonna do it to all of them, but it just is nice to just add a little bit. Let me see how close I could come. Can you see? Yeah, I just added a little bit of lines with red. And then you wanna maybe go on top of your tulip with a black, or you could use a black ink pen or black ballpoint pen or whatever you want. But I just add a little bit of little dabs of, what are these called? Little seedlings. Kind of gives it a little personality rather than just plain. Here we go. This is a finished. It kind of looks abstract. It doesn't look real, but it looks real enough. Any questions? Now, I think that I would really love giving these cards away because they're so simple. Most of the cards that, you know, even I buy, it just, to me, it's just too overly done. But the simplicity of these little cards, I mean, you could use it for anything. I always leave kind of a blank space on top because that's where you could put in thank you, or you could put in person's name, or you could put in words like gratitude or joy or happy birthday. And you could make it so personal for each person by just leaving your designs very simple like this. So these two cards are beautiful. I love them. So is everybody ready to go on to the little art piece? You know, yeah, there was one little thing that I wanted to do. I wonder if I should do it now. I have it down as a 4th project, but since you're kind of still in a practice mode before we go to the final project, I like to do this, the tags. So with tags, I think that, that I didn't get to finish the PowerPoint, but I showed you 2 different kinds of tags. One is a lot busier, you use a lot of gouache paint. And the other one I showed you a simpler one using just real subtle watercolor dabs. And that's the one I want to teach you today. So right here, can you see this? Now this is done with just a piece of 5x7 cards that I have cut into 3 strips, and I make it like a tag shape. And then the flower it's just done on a little copy paper because I just practice all the time. And I don't throw those away, and I just cut those flowers out, and whatever I have, I just stick it on the card. And this one here is, it's a simple little, where is it? This is a, the background that we practiced. And then I cut that up, and then I put I made a little, I had a little origami paper. So I made a little heart shape out of that. And those are real simple. You can find online, you know, how to fold hearts. And I put that on there. This one here is I put on the same similar type of flowers that we drew today on the card. It's just that this is, again, my messy practice one. So I didn't really like it, but I cut it up and I put it on here, and I said, oh, I could use it for this. And I use the same background. This one here is another one I saved, and then here it has a watercolor background on it. So today what I want to do is show you how to make some watercolor. They're so simple to make. They're just little background colors that you can make. And you'll love this because you're going to be able to just whip out these little things so fast, or you could make a bunch of them and keep them in a box, and then you could make little things out of it, tags, and add a nice little ribbon. And you know, like this one here, this one here is so simple, but because I dressed it up with a little bow tie on top, it just looks really special. So do you guys have pieces of paper cut up this size, or do you have to go do it right now? You can. So cut your 5x7 into 3 strips. And I think it's usually something like 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6. I think it's 2 inches by something like 2 inches and 1/4 or something. I think I usually cut them, and then they come out to this size. So this could get kind of messy, so I'm gonna put a little piece of paper on the bottom. Are you guys ready? So the kind of brush you need is kind of a fat brush, fattest one that you have. And then now take whatever that's in your watercolor that you've been mixing. I have all these colors left, right? So that's why you want to use up these colors and don't let them go to waste. Are you ready? So you're going to dip your brush into the water, and then you're going to lay it sideways and just go wherever you want. Just go ahead and put water on your card. Now I'm going to pick a color that I want to do. And so maybe let's say I'm going to do yellow. So I have all this yellow paint left, so I'm going to dabble this up. But try not to put a lot of color on it. And then I'm going to test it out. I could use a little bit more color. And then you lay your brush sideways and you stream down. And you know, this is a little harder than it looks because it's kind of hard to get, you know, that look that you think you're looking for. But you have to, again, practice it. Now I'm going to take like, okay, well, maybe I have some of this red, so I might just want to do this. So I'm going to put a lot of water in here again. And then I might just want to drip it down. And if you want to add a little red on top of the yellow, you can too, to break it down. And now you just let it dry for about 10 minutes. Can you see what I did? So this is pretty drippy, so you have to, you have to just kind of let it dry. But when it dries, you could put it under a real thick pad of, the stack of books or something, because these, when you get the paper this wet, it kind of curls. So you want to flatten it out again after it dries, and you'll come out really nice. So let's do one more. So I might want to do a green because I have some green left. So I'm just gonna lay it on the paper. It really doesn't take much. It's just a little bit. Now this one I might mix a little bit of yellow too. Maybe a little bit of red. Okay, so now you see, and I just let it drip down. Can you see what's done here? And look at it, I just put little dabs of yellow. That doesn't have to blend. So that's how you make these really artistic little background pieces. And so it's just limitless. You could make a whole bunch of these. Okay, so our the final project here is.
Kay,
What?
can I just ask a question? Why did you wet the card if you've already got wet stuff in your, your tray where you've done the mixing?
Because if you put the puddle of water on the card, the paint only travels where the color is.
Oh, okay.
You know what the paint only travels where the water is.
Yeah.
And that whole, that's the whole thing is if you put some kind of a shape on the paper with water, when you drop paint in there, it just travels to the outer edge of that water and won't go any further.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, is that a little bit what that first lesson was about too? Those little circles when you do them with water first,
Uh-huh.
and then you do them without water too, just to show the difference between how the color travels when it has a pool of water to travel in versus how it stays a little bit more in place when you go directly on the paper.
Right. Okay, so so this is the part now you're gonna take all that you learned and you're going to create. And last week we did something that was more, last week we did this one, right? And was very, very definite because we kind of designed it to be a little bit more masculine. So this week, I like for us to do something soft like we've been practicing. So I'm thinking that maybe something like this or something like this, but it's up to you what kind of flower you put in it. That's why I always have my little flower index sheet right next to me, because this gives me a lot of ideas on what kind of flowers I want to put in. And I pick and choose the flowers from here. The problem with some people was that they were not able to place the flowers in the right place to make the picture look balanced. So this is what I did today. I pasted just like the beginning of a flower bouquet. I just use coins. I use quarters for large. I use dime for small. And then I cut out a little piece of paper shaped like a little vase, so that it gives you a now kind of a basics for you lay your things rather than just going randomly and wondering what should I do. Another good way to do this is you should take some time to cut out little flower shapes. And then just like I did with those little cards or whatever you practice drawing, just cut those flower shapes out and put them in a little box. And before you begin to paint this, place your little pieces of flower here and there, here and there. And then it gives you a really good idea of how to arrange it so it doesn't look lopsided. So you really have to look at this like if you have a bouquet of flowers. Sometimes they're not really well balanced, but then the beautifully balanced ones, you know, they are put in a right place, the right size flower in the right place. So the whole idea here is for you to really visualize this like a bouquet of flowers. And I always like putting flowers in a little vase because it just makes it more, you could give it to anybody, everybody. I mean, it's just a fun thing. People love to receive flowers in a vase. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So anyway, so I'm looking at this, and if you guys have little pieces of paper or something that you could put on coin or paper or whatever, put it on it usually, to me, a real good flower design is it takes 3 larger pieces of flour and maybe 1 medium size, and then others are smaller to fill in the space. So you fill in the space with leaves and flowers, small flowers. Okay? So, and if it makes you feel more comfortable, go ahead, and I'm just gonna go look at this, and first I'm gonna draw the base. What kind of base do I want? So I would draw the base. Well, I'm not sure what kind of base. There's so many different shape bases. So always remember the base doesn't have to be really large. I mean, you know, it could just be. Okay, so then I'm gonna decide, okay, what kind of flower should I put in there? What makes me feel comfortable to draw? So I don't know, I just kind of feel really good if I could just keep to simple lines that I know. So I'm gonna say, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put I'm gonna do a tulip right here, and that's gonna be one of my larger flowers. And I think I'm gonna make my tulips kind of long so that, and then maybe right next to the tulip, I'm gonna put more of a round flower right here. And then one above that, another kind of a roundish flower. So I'm just gonna draw a little shape. I don't even know what I'm gonna put in it yet. And then at the very top, maybe I'll just finish up with a little daisy. And then around the sides, I may draw some flowers that are like, not real small, but kind of filler flowers. Okay, so I have the basic, you know, once you get your main flowers on here, you'll be surprised how easy it is if all you do is then fill the corners. I mean, fill the outer edges. So I'm gonna start mine by using a kind of a medium-sized, smaller brush, I think. And I'm going to be drawing a tulip, just like we did on our card. I'm gonna draw a red tulip. So right here, I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm going to flatten this up. And I'm gonna do a 3-pointed tulip. Okay, so that looks good. So now I'm gonna draw right next to the tulip. I'm gonna do those 5 petal flowers. And remember where I told you to draw the center end so that you don't fill in that space. And there I'm going to, since the tulip is red, I think I'll make that flower pink. So I have a kind of a bluish pink here, but I'm going to change that by adding a little bit more orange to it. And that's going to turn that pink more coral, which I want to do. And I'm going to add a little bit of red from the other side until I get the color really well. And I'm going to add in a little bit of red. Maybe add a little bit of yellow. I'm trying to get the color that I want. I'm not really sure, but okay. So this is the one where I told you to leave the center out, and I'm gonna be drawing 5 flower shapes around it, petals. And here. And if you notice that I'm not making all these flowers the same shade because I want them to have a little definition. So I add a little bit of this or a little bit of that and make some of these petals lighter or darker. And that's what really adds a lot of personality to the flowers. Okay. I want to add a little bit more different shades. Okay, so I'm okay with that. So I'm just going to go ahead and let that, oh, I think I'm just going to go ahead and put the center end right now. And then again, I'm going to dab the center end. And if some of that paint runs into the flower, that's fine, because I like that when the water runs into each other. So I'm dab, 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 dab at the center and leaving some white spaces. Okay, then the next one, you have to kind of pick a color, and I'm going, okay, well, maybe I will try lavender. So I'm gonna get this lavender. And I'm gonna put it right here. 1, 2. Geez, watercolor palette, I mean, the little cakes look real dark, but they're not always real dark. And I got the lavender in my dish. I'm going, well, that's just too lavender. I want to get it to be, what could I do here? I want to mute it down a little bit. So I might add just a little blue to it and see what happens. Now that makes it I like that color better. I might add just a little bit of white to it to lighten it. Okay, so now I'm going to test this out on a piece of paper to see how it is. I might want to add a little bit more water to it. I don't like to use real dark colors to begin with because you could always darken it. So it's always better to use as light as possible. So I'm going to make a little kind of a this is just a shape. It's just an oval shape. Too light. So make it a little bit darker. And by the way, I forgot to leave the center out. If it's not too late for you, I would leave the center out. Keep it white. But now, because I did it this way, I have to wait until the paint dries to do that. Now I drew this circle, and I think I'm going to now add in a little bit deeper to give it a little bit of shape. And I'm gonna still draw this circle in right now before it gets too late. Now I'm just gonna be adding a little bit of darker purple around it to give this little oval, all it is just a little oval shape, some definition. And if you notice, I didn't make them all really even or anything. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave that alone because that's gonna be one of my flowers. And to finish this off, on the very top, I'm going to put in the daisy we made, half a daisy. And I'm gonna use yellow. Now I'm gonna start from the center, and again, it's just very fine, and then point, and then just let it go. Go to very fine.
Okay, we lost your screen there.
Oh,
Oh, there it is. It's back. Thank you.
Mhm. So there's the half daisy. Now I'm going to put the little dab center in it. And the color that I'm using it's just a leftover color. I have a bunch of colors, like I think there's a little bit of black, a little bit of gray, a little bit of gray. I just think that these colors that you can't tell what they are is much better than pure black. But in the center of this lavender flower, though, I'm gonna put in black because I want it to be real solid here. I'm just gonna put in maybe a little bit here. Okay, so I feel like I have my 4 main flowers finished. So now it's time you have to put in the stems and the leaves that go with these flowers. So first I'm gonna do a tulip leaf, tulip stem right here, right into the vase. And then I'm gonna do another one, kind of leaning into the center, this other flower. 2 stems. And then the purple one, I'm gonna pull it down from the top underneath it. And I'm gonna bypass this flower and I'm gonna put that stem right there. Now, how should I put this little flower here? I'm probably going to go right here and I'm gonna follow it straight down. And it's gonna end up right there. Okay, so all these flowers have stems on it. Now, the first thing you have to do is draw in the tulip leaf because those leaves are very big and so you don't want to put anything else in it. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and put the leaves for the tulip right here. I made a thin one and then I'm just going to wave the leaves here into it. And then I'm going to draw a leaf for this one. So on the very bottom, I tried to put in a couple of big leaves because I think that kind of centers the flower arrangement. I might put one coming down right down here. Okay, so now I have the 4 leaves and then I'm gonna go up here and put in a few more leaves right in between. So wherever you have a space, try to find a little bit of space for leaves. Okay, so now I got all the leaves. Then now comes the filler flowers, and the next set of flowers are not the real tiny ones, but you wanna make them tinier. And around the edge, the color should be a little softer, so I wouldn't put a whole bunch of really bright colors. So I would put in, I think maybe I'm gonna use something like a pink. So I'm going to use a pink with a little bit of white. And you could choose to see what kind of flowers you want to put in, but maybe the pink flowers, maybe I'll just go ahead and let me see, maybe little, hang on just a minute, somebody's ringing the doorbell. delivery man, sorry. Okay, so now I'm still doing the pink flowers, so I'm just gonna go ahead and fill in little pieces, and all I do is just make a little point and then another point. And they do kind of look like tulips, but you know, you could do that, or you could just make little circles. I'm gonna try one right here. And you could make little circles or little egg shapes, and that's fine too, because we're gonna dress them up later. You don't have to worry about it now. So another really fun thing to do is I would add, if I could find a space, probably right here, I would do, so these are some of the things that I really love doing with the flowers right here. And I might just draw just a little tiny, and I'm gonna come over here and add that right here. Can you see all I'm doing is just like making little, kind of a little leaf shaped dots. Ooh, these look nice. And then I might do one right here. Okay, let me see. So then once you do that, then you need to put in little center stems to these. So I'm just gonna take that green again, and I'm going to just kind of go in between each one and just kind of draw a little simple, very, very fine line. And you don't even have to do it if you don't want to, but and then I may just draw little tiny little dots, I mean, like a leaf shape, like right here. Okay, then look at your flowers to see how centered they are. And maybe we need some light colored yellow things to kind of soften out the edge. So all I'm doing is just dab, 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 dab. They don't mean anything, but you'll see that they'll turn into something. And I might just dab, dab, dab in between these little holes in your flower arrangement. And again, you don't have to be very careful. There just has to be little yellow little pieces that look like little flowers. Now I feel like my flower, my vase looks complete. I don't want to do any more. So now I'm going to go ahead and I think I'm going to get a gray, and I'm going to draw the vase. And let me see how gray that is. Yeah, that's great. I like gray. And I'm going to draw a base and use the fine point brush, and you're just going to go across the top, and then you, I mean, whatever color, whatever vase you're drawing is fine. Whatever shape that you're drawing is fine. And a lot of times my vase doesn't really come out real even either, but it's okay. Now you need to kind of fill in these bases with something. I mean, you can draw little fine lines, or you could draw big circles, or you could draw X's. But today I think I'm gonna try drawing some lines. So I'm gonna start and draw the lines, very fine lines. Going across. So that's my lines. Now you have to look at your overall flower shapes and say, what's missing? So the first thing I'm gonna do is, I'm just gonna add a little bit more black to the gray that I was using. And I'm gonna add little tips to these yellow flowers. Just draw a little dab. And maybe even just one little dab, that's fine. Now it's making them stand out just a little bit. And then I'm going to add just a little tiny light stem to each one of them. And it doesn't matter what color you use. Sometimes I use even aqua or anything you want, but today I'm just using just the color I have left over from the base. And then just draw real thin lines that
Okay, I just wanted to make you aware of the time. It's 12:02 in case anyone has to go. You are recording this, so you'll share this link with anybody if they have to get back to work or anything, right?
Yes.
The recorded link, okay.
Yep.
And okay, just wanted to
Yeah, we're almost
time
done
check.
here. Okay, and so now to me, the leaves look a little pale, and I really want to strengthen those leaves up a little bit. So I'm going to darken. I'm going to add maybe a little bit of navy blue to my green. And then I'm going to see how weak those leaves look right now. I'm just going to go ahead and outline the edge and then just kind of bring it into the center. And that gives it 2 tones to the leaves. Now you could really see the leaves, popping up. So unless you give a strong outline to these, it just looks like a faded out watercolor thing. And that's what I think, to me, I love really mixing colors into it to give it strength. So dark colors are always necessary, but even though you start out with light, it's okay because you could always strengthen your colors later. Wow, now it has so much more dimension. And it doesn't really matter what color you put in here. I mean, anything really works. It's just to use a darker color. And now I might even add, to add a little bit of interest, I might even add, oh boy, let me see. I might even add like a blue, turquoise blue to it and see what happens. So let me see to the other side. Yeah, I'm just kind of adding a little bit of blue to each one of the flowers, and it's really making them come alive. Now to the stems, I'm gonna add just a little bit of that gray again to make those little standing up. It looks, to me, it looks pretty weak. So add a little bit of black to the green. And I'm just gonna go down and outline these stems. Now they're getting very strong, which I love. Let me see here. Okay, what, you guys have any idea what to do with the tulips? That tulip, to me, that needs a little bit of help. I just add a little bit of little tip to these little pink tulips. Just add a little tip to it with just with, I don't know, any color. I just use any color too. Add a little pink in the center here. These stems in the center are pink. Just add the little pink to fill in here and there. It's okay. The tulips. I think I will take this darkest red. I might try to take some of this tulip and just divide it up a little bit. And then I might just go ahead and put a little little line going up and down, kind of a little dot, so that the tulip gets broken up so it doesn't look so solid. It doesn't have to be anything very strong, but I just took a kind of a pure red watercolor, and then I'm just kind of giving it little, oh yeah, that looks a lot better. I don't know if you could see it. See how that tulips is? I just kind of put darker red dabs in there. And then if you want to, you could just go in and maybe I'll get this turquoise and might maybe just add just a little tiny little dab of turquoise dots around, so the edges don't look so stark. Kind of makes it a little livelier looking. Okay, I think that's it. And then erase all that pencil marks you have on there, make sure once the paint is dry. I think that we did some good work in this class today. Did you get finished, or do you feel like that you didn't really finish completely? Which is fine too. You could always, you know, these things you could take, sometimes I take it out the next day and I add more color to it, or I add more things to it. And I always try to, it's just kind of an ongoing. I have a bunch of pieces that I've started and I go take it out now and then I start adding more things to it, or dab more color onto it to make it brighter. So yeah, so what do you think?
I think I need a lot of practice.
Well, that's why now that you have your little template, so, and you could, you have your little flower glossary and your templates that you've done today. And you just need to just, like sometimes I have to do, about 6, 7 of these before I even think that I really like it.
I bought the book. You mentioned to purchase a couple of books that'll help beginners. So
Yeah,
I
yes.
just
Yeah,
started.
pretty help.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's mainly, I think you have enough here under your belt. You just have to take each one of these and try to draw each one of these flowers and, try to draw, make some cards. And once you start just doing it and just keep it very simple, and you'll find out that you'll just get better and better at it.
Thank you.
Okay, so you have my email address. I'm happy to get any kind of feedback from you to see how
Okay.
I could improve.
What were the names of the books that you recommended, or do you want to follow up and send links out to folks?
Gee, I can't even remember the name of the book, but those are the two. I have the 2 books.
Oh, do you have those books there, Marlene?
Yeah.
Marlene,
You have it. Okay.
Can you see this?
The Joy of Watercolor.
Mm-hmm.
And who's the author, Marlene?
Oh, is it on here? Emma Block?
Emma Block. Okay.
She's from England, and she does all kinds of real fine line watercolors.
But I think I'm doing this one here seems simpler for beginners.
Yes.
Everyday watercolor.
I'm doing this one. I'm on day 2 of day 30. So not very far.
Oh, good. Great.
Who's the author on that one?
Jenna Rainey.
Jenna Rainey, Everyday Watercolor. Okay.
So it seems good. It helps.
Yeah, and it'd be kind of fun to kind of get together once a month or something and have everybody share what they're doing and keep talking about it, because there's a lot more that you can learn from this. So
Hard is how to mix this color on the palette. How are you getting it? Sometimes like trying to get the paint, it doesn't come off.
What do you mean? Come off from where? Come off from where?
Color, and you put it on a palette and you try to mix the color.
You can't get it off the palette, you mean?
Oh, it's kind of hard. It doesn't seem like when you dab it here, you don't get too much paint.
Oh, okay. Well, remember I told you to spray your watercolors with let me see. Can you see?
Oh.
Right here.
Oh.
I just bought this little tiny little watercolor sprayer, and I keep it. And before I start watercoloring, I just spray the whole thing.
Oh.
And then it really softens the colors up.
Okay.
Yeah. So these paints do need water, and then they will dry, once you use it. Next time you do it, you spray it down again. And that'll help you to loosen up the paint. And it really helps to have a little, this is just a little porcelain little thing. It's heavy. I like it. But I love using this because it lets the water accumulate. The covers of these paint palettes, you can't really put that much water on it. So, yeah. And then I didn't use any today. I used straight watercolors, but I have lots of little favorite things that I have, like certain colors. I really want it bright, and it's not bright enough in a watercolor. So I have little tubes of different colors that I pick that I like. And then sometimes what I do is I use a little tube of that's concentrated color into my watercolor to make it brighter. But I didn't go into all that today. But those are some of the things that you can do to, if I were to use something like that today, I would have probably added on some colors on some leaves that really makes it bright. But that is not for today. But right now, I think.
Sorry, there's one more question, Kay, really quick. Karen says when she puts color on the palette, it doesn't seem to stay on the palette. How do you make the colors stay on the palette? Karen, do you mean that it actually is staying on your brush instead of going onto the palette?
I'm not sure where it stays, but it must stay on the brush or something. It's just like, it's like there's an oil on the palette, so it doesn't stay. It just,
You know, try using, I mean, if you don't have one of these, try using even like a glass dish. If you have a big, you know, glass dish or something like that, color stays, yeah, it's very easy to put color, and then you just wash the, you know, glass. But if you're
Karen, sorry, Kay, really quick. Karen, do you have a plastic palette?
yes.
You know, you might try cleaning.
yeah, I have, it's one of these, it comes with a watercolor set. I have this too.
Mhm.
Sometimes if you just get that top layer of sort of like a protective coating is almost on it, and it
Yeah,
doesn't
right.
sort of bead up too much. If you use if you have one of those old sponges that has one side yellow and one side green, the more scrubby side, the green side, if you can just kind of clean it with that side, almost
Here
like
you go. This is the way it looks like on that plastic, right?
Right, right, right.
Yeah, but it's still there. It's still there. It's just kind of,
Yeah. See, that was so difficult, trying to get the color to stay there.
really? Well, you need more water.
Oh, okay.
Before you get the, remember I told you to spray the thing? Before you dip your brush, if you want a lot of color, you dip the brush in the water, and then you go and get it out from the palette. And then you put it on here.
Arlene used a trick of using the Barkeeper's Friend scrub, or that Bon Ami, that sort of gentle porcelain scrub. You could try that.
Okay.
Yeah, but it works. I mean, don't worry about it. Just put enough water on there and you'll get it. It's just-
Hey, can you show them if you scrape your brush on the edge of the plastic too, does some of the color come off? You know how, like, if you kind of, sort of like when you clean your brush in the water, you scrape it at the edge of the water cup to get extra water off. What if you scrape the edge of the brush at the edge of the palette? Does some of the color come off
Trying
there?
to get more water off.
No, to get the color onto the palette. Kind of.
But mine is just like yours. It's, you know, real plasticky little thing that came with my watercolor set.
Yeah.
This is what it looks like, and it's fine. I use this a lot too. You just have to have enough pigment and enough water on there.
Okay, I probably didn't use enough water or
Now,
something.
you probably didn't use enough water. A lot of people are afraid to use water, but these are called watercolors, and it needs lots of water. Okay? And then if your brush, you feel like it's too wet. I mean, I never feel like my brush is too wet. I mean, this brush is really wet. And then, you know, you could just draw, or you could, you know, do whatever with it, and it works out fine. Or you could lay it to the side.
Great.
Karen,
Yes.
I also use my Corning where I got a couple of small plates, and those work wonderful, better than the plastic thing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's why I like use glass, because to me, glass is just the best thing for watercolors. And then once I finish it up, I take all these little extra pieces and I put it on another card to make my design or whatever to save. And then I wash all this out.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? Okay. That's it? Did you guys have fun today? I did.
Thank you.
I really loved today's class a lot because I wasn't so nervous. and I don't know what's wrong with my computer. I really don't. I already fixed it with the Apple people, and they say it's going to work fine, but it still kicks me off all the time, right? I mean, if I'm in a 2-people meeting, it doesn't do it at all. It's just fine. But maybe it's too many people in here. I don't know. I don't know how to fix it. So.
Okay, can we see people's drawings, what they've done?
I like to see people's drawings, but if you do it, email it to me, because see, if we had a Facebook group or something, everybody posts, because usually I'm always, you know, when I join a class, they always put me on a Facebook, and then they want me to post my work all the time. But this way, I have no way of seeing your work. I mean,
Karen's holding hers up. I see Karen.
no, I really
Karen,
can't.
hold it a
Yeah,
little higher.
hold it up higher. I love to see it closer, Pim Video. Oh, wow, look, hold it
That's
up higher.
nice.
Hold it up a little higher. Wow,
Wow.
nice job.
It looks nice, Karen.
Yeah, great.
Wow.
See, it's so nice to see people,
Cool.
you know, people up close. I
Oh,
mean,
Atia, yours turned out beautiful too. Lots of fun.
I've used some
Oh.
metallic watercolors. I don't know whether you can see the shine on it.
I think you've been
Oh.
practicing this
who
week.
wants to show it?
No, I haven't. I couldn't do the daisy. You know, when you did the daisy and I thought, no, the space is too big, so I ended up putting some extras in.
Uh-huh. Oh,
So,
that's
yeah,
okay.
it's
Just a
been
minute.
cool. Thank you.
Just a minute, Tia. Let me get you up closer, Tia.
Oh.
Oh, nice. See, when you look at things close, it's just amazing what people that you guys
Yeah.
do.
Are you a beginner or have you been doing it?
No, I'm a beginner.
Ah,
Atia is a doodler.
Yeah, I'm a doodler, so I've
Yeah.
been doing some basic drawings with Kay, and we've been doing lots of courses together, but I've not done watercolors. So I'm
Oh.
really enjoying it.
Well, good. Good,
I think
good.
the key thing is just go with your intuition, isn't it? I think just go with whatever works.
Yes, it is.
Marlene, do you have an example to show us?
So
no,
honored.
I'll be embarrassed.
Oh,
no.
Marlene, come on.
I will not show.
I saw a glimpse of it. No, you didn't want to show?
Yeah.
All right.
No, it's so bad. I can't believe how bad I am. I'll practice.
No, it's just, it's all good.
Dale, did you don't want to
Impressionistic.
show?
Here's mine.
Just a minute. Hang on,
Oh,
just a
wow.
minute. Tim video. Oh,
Dale,
that's
cool.
nice.
Dale, that's great.
Yeah.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah.
Everyone look
Look at.
Dale, can you hold it up again?
Sure.
Hold it up again.
It looks like there's some
Beautiful.
movement in yours.
Look
Oh.
at that.
Yeah.
It almost
you
looks
go.
like it's got some wind blowing or something, the way the little
Yeah.
dots are.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Very nice.
Marlene was showing us hers again. Go on, Marlene, be brave.
It's really bad. I didn't know how to
It
find
isn't
purple.
bad. Look at that.
I didn't know how to do purple, so I used blue.
That's okay.
Marlene,
that's
it's
bad.
your painting, so you
Oh,
just act like it was on purpose.
That
No,
looks
no, never
like
know.
Let me see.
cottage flowers, cottage garden flowers, Marlene.
Can,
That's
can you
great.
hold it up again, Marlene, please?
Oh,
Hold
I
it up
don't
again.
know.
You
Yeah.
guys are doing great.
Oh, I think it's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Oh my
Those
God.
little-
You.
The purple bits look like
You would
lavender.
never know you were
Yeah.
beginners.
I found some
Perfect.
afterwards. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Janet, do you want to hold yours up?
I put too much color on mine. I think mine's really darker than I wanted it.
Oh, that's
nice.
nice.
Good. It's nice and vivid.
Don't be so hard on yourself now. That
Yeah.
was very nice.
Is there any way to take the color off if it's too dark?
Yeah, only way you do that is when the color is still wet, dry your brush with a towel and then push it right in there and it'll take the color off.
I think I get too aggressive with the colors.
You know, on the card, the other card, the tulips, I had lots of colour, but then I added some watery on the edges that makes it look a bit paler.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's
Hang on,
nice.
hang on,
Oh.
Because
Tia,
it was
just a
too
minute.
dark. The poppies were too dark, or the tulips. but then
Oh, I see. You added a lighter
Oh.
edge. Yeah,
Yeah, so it looks better then.
great. You guys are really, oh, I'm impressed.
Yes, well, thank you to the teacher. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Elizabeth, do you have something you want to show?
I don't. I'm out of my creative space now. I'm making lunch for my kids.
Okay. All right, everybody. Keep it up.
Okay.
And maybe you'll hear from me again. We'll do something.
Thank you very
I
much,
want
Kay.
to teach Itagami art next.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
great.
Thank you for the
Okay.
class, Kay.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for putting up with
Thank
all
you.
this stuff, technical stuff, and
Yeah.
we'll see what happens there. But
You've done great, Kay.
Yeah, this is fun.
okay. Thank you.
you.
That was really fun too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
email me.
Will do.